Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. There is a problem with youthful offender statutes, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. As we get into this case today, it is important to remember that everyone is entitled to a presumption of innocence. Until you are convicted, either by a jury or a judge, you are entitled to that presumption of innocence. And in this particular case, where I am referring to the more recent charges, they have not been adjudicated, so keep an open mind as you listen to this. So when I moved down to the Auburn area from Missouri, I sort of became a fan of the Auburn Tigers. And the Auburn Tigers, I often did not go to the games in the stadium, although I certainly could have. I didn't do that because it usually is pretty warm down here, and it just didn't seem like a good idea. I've been a couple of times, but not many more times than that. At any rate, what I usually did was I listened to the football games. I didn't watch them on TV because I can't stand the announcers for CBS. But what I did do is I listened to the Auburn Network, which had the voice of Auburn, a guy by the name of Rod Bramlett. Now, Rod Bramlett was married to Paula Bramlett, and they were both very well-known fixtures in the Auburn community and very much well-loved and well-regarded. In fact, I think I can show you why they were loved so much with this little audio clip from one of the Iron Bowl games.
Short, he can field it and run it out. All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight.
And if that doesn't get your heart pumping, you're probably an Alabama fan. So you can see that Rod had quite a passion for what he did and for the Auburn Tigers. Now, the reason I keep using the past tense is because Rod and Paula Bramlett are no longer with us. On May 29th, 2019, they were sitting at a stoplight here in Auburn when Johnston Edward Taylor, who was coming back from a day at Lake Martin, he had a great deal of THC in his system from marijuana. He was driving 90 miles an hour, and he plowed into the back of their vehicle. Paula Bramlett died before she could even leave town. They had tried to airlift her, but her injuries were too severe. She died from internal injuries. The Jeep that the boy was driving hit them on the right side where she was sitting. Rod Bramlett was airlifted to the University of Alabama at Birmingham Hospital with a closed head injury, where he ultimately died a few hours later. And if you're wondering how that happens, how you get hit from behind and have a closed head injury, when a vehicle hits you at going 90 miles an hour and your head slams back into the covered headrest, it's like somebody taking bubble wrap and carpet and wrapping it around a baseball bat and slugging you in the back of the head with it. So he suffered some very serious injuries, and as a result, he passed away. So we have a young man who obviously had a lot of marijuana in his system, and he was indicted by the grand jury on 2 counts of manslaughter. Following the indictment for manslaughter, he was booked into the county jail and released on $60,000 bond. If I were the child's parents, I would have taken that as a pretty serious issue and something to be dealt with, perhaps by making him walk to school. I don't know, but I certainly would not have bought him another car. But that is apparently what happened. Another car was purchased for him, And within a few weeks after he was released on bond, he was ticketed twice for speeding and once for reckless driving. The very things that got him into the county jail in the first place. So the judge revoked his bond. They sent him to a residential treatment center in Nashville. And if you ask my opinion, residential treatment centers for drugs and alcohol rarely work. They work when people are absolutely committed to getting off of the substance. When they go there at gunpoint, which is sort of what they did when you have a situation where the court is sort of mandating treatment, and even though the court wasn't mandating treatment here, I'm sure the defense attorney was, it often doesn't work because they don't believe they have a problem. They would be like most alcoholics and say, I can quit anytime, but they don't. As the case progresses, because of COVID, the case is not taken to a jury trial until April of 2021, but it never makes it to the jury trial. The defense asks for youthful offender status, and the judge grants it. And under youthful offender status, the crime that is charged and pled guilty to is not manslaughter, but rather violation of the youthful offender statute. So instead of getting between 2 and 20 years for manslaughter, Mr. Taylor received a sentence between 0 and 3 years. Now, you're probably wondering what that sentence was. Certainly he must have gotten the max. He killed 2 people. Apparently not. In June of 2022, he was arrested for violation of statutes involving the possession of pictures that nobody should have. I'll let you figure out what I'm talking about, or you can go Google the name Johnston Edward Taylor and read the accounts in the newspaper. YouTube doesn't like us talking about that subject, and I can't say as I blame them. So he was arrested for 6 counts of that charge, and he was immediately let out on bond again. And then in December of 2022, December 13th to be exact, he failed another drug test and was booked into the county jail for a parole violation. When that happened, his defense attorney came out and said, look, I hope nobody jumps to any conclusions here. Really? You think somebody might jump to a conclusion that the very same product that got him into trouble before, marijuana, has something to do with him being in trouble again, marijuana? I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily jumping to a conclusion. I think that's making a reasonable inference. The thing I meant to point out here at this point in the video is that in order for him to be on parole, he had to have served whatever time was necessary for him to be granted parole, which means he was out back in the community in less than 2 years after killing 2 people. And I would note that in the media, some reports indicated that he had alcohol in his system as well. Now, here is the problem with these youthful offender statutes. The youthful offender statute is designed to work when somebody wants to clean up their act. Maybe they've been hanging around with the wrong crowd. Maybe they were just in a car where somebody was joyriding. Maybe they really did screw up in the choice of their friends, and as a result, they got into trouble. To me, that's more where the youthful offender statute is designed to take care of problems. It isn't designed to take care of problems where, for example, someone is just abusing drugs and doesn't have any plans to stop. The judge probably thought he was doing the right thing, but I often wonder how he got there, because at the time he was granted youthful offender status, he had killed 2 people, he had gone right back to the same behavior that got him in trouble before, speeding and reckless driving, and then simply because there was a long pause due to COVID, where he was out on bail and apparently did not get arrested for anything, perhaps his parents took away his vehicle at that point. The bottom line is that The judge just did not understand that there was absolutely no way this young man was going to turn his life around. Now, there was a famous judge in Arkansas in the 1860s, Hanging Judge Parker. And what he said was that it is not the severity of punishment that deters crime. It is the certainty of it. One of the things that youthful offender statutes do is they remove the certainty of punishment. They remove the certainty of accountability. And of course, they also keep the results from the public, most likely because in many of these instances, the public would be outraged. I think if you look at the difference between the two mugshots, the first one where he was involved in the crash, and the second where he was arrested for having those pictures that he shouldn't have had, you can see that there has been a fairly significant change in this young man. And I don't look forward to seeing what happens to him when the charges are finally adjudicated. Now, as I said at the beginning, anything that I've referred to as a charge here or an arrest that has not proceeded to adjudication, now the Bramlett case did proceed to adjudication, but the having possession of pictures that he shouldn't have has not proceeded to adjudication. All of those are only allegations. They have not been proved, and he is entitled to the presumption of innocence. Sometimes when police get the feeling that someone is a problem child, they target them. I'm not saying that's what happened here because I don't think the Auburn police would do that. But you have to keep an open mind, and you have to know that a jury, not some random guy on the internet, gets to make that determination. So do your own research, reach your own conclusions, and hopefully you will understand, as I do, that there is a problem with youthful offender statutes. If you have any questions on this, please leave them in the comments down below. I will try and answer them. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things we ask you to do, and have a marvelous day. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.